generous introduction, and I'm really impressed by you knowing what year and where I was born. That's very nice.
Wikipedia is wonderful.
Wikipedia. But what an honor to be among you tonight and today, this evening, throughout the day in the beautiful Cardiff and such a sunny day. And thank you all for organizing the weather for us.
We did a lot of work hard.
It is really a great honor to be also among such a distinguished panelists. And I know, Howard, that you are renowned for your relentless work as a war crime lawyer. And you couldn't be more relevant to what we are going to discuss today. And all our friends and brothers and sisters of the panel and all the audience here, today allow me by starting thanking the people of Wales for the show of solidarity, the show of love, the show of support that you have done over the last year and indeed over the years. And today was another example of the depth of support in this beautiful country, in this beautiful side of the country. Starting with the annual conference of Plaid Cymru and the warm welcome we received there and the opportunities we were given to address the entire conference, but followed by taking part in that very inspiring march in the centre of Cardiff with a long red line carried in the hands of thousands of people from Cardiff and all around the region to show the world that there are red lines here, that Israel has crossed all these red lines. And then ending up here with friends and family and colleagues is really the best finale one can have. So indeed, it's a note of thank you. And I need not to tell you about the red lines Israel has crossed. I think Howard here knows much more than anybody about every single red line we have established together after the horrors of the Second World War. We came together, we learned that human evil was unleashed in the 30s and the 40s, and the result was the murder of 85 million innocent people, innocent civilians. We were evil to each other. And then the one lesson we learned from those horrible days and months and years is never again. Never again we will allow any one party to cross these red lines again. The first red line is very clear. Wars should not erupt in the first place. We establish international institutions such as the Security Council to make sure that we have international structures to prevent wars. And then we establish a set of rules, should we erupt, how wars should be conducted. And I'm sure many of you here are aware of the Geneva Conventions and the Prevention of Genocide Convention and the International Humanitarian Law. The essence of the International Humanitarian Law is to learn the lesson of the Second World War and to shield civilians from the brunt of war. And then we also built around that time, 78 years ago, in that whole system, an international judicial institution that should these rules be violated, the violators must be held accountable. That's why we have the ICC, that's why we have the ICG. And every red line was crossed in the last year or so. Killing, mass murdering innocent civilians, as been the case in Gaza and in the West Bank. And now in Lebanon is a red line. Indiscriminate bombing is a red line. Destroying homes, 70% of Gaza's homes are destroyed, is a red line. Targeting hospitals, schools, universities, mosques like this, churches, is a red line. Dehumanizing the other is a red line. And the list goes on. But in fact, it seems to us that we haven't learned any lessons. And the normalization of the mass murder, the mass destruction, the normalization of families, children, women, men, young and old, reminds us of the 30s and the 40s. And as if all the extensive system will bear together, all the set of values do not matter anymore. And therefore I really was touched today when I saw this long red line carried by the people all around, the streets of Cardiff, in a declaration that the people of the world, the people of Cardiff, the people of Wales, the people of the UK are waging that red line, don't cross it. And this is a very dangerous moment, because I assure you that is what is happening and has been happening in Gaza is a genocide. When you target a group of people because of who they are, and I'm sorry, Howard, to transpass into your territory, and you have enough evidence, they told you from day one, from the 7th of October, what they are about to do. Go back to what Netanyahu said. Go back to what the President of Israel, Herzog, said, that we make no distinction between Hamas and the Palestinian people. The nation of Palestine are responsible. We're going to go after them. Go back to what the Minister of Defense in Israel said. Those are human animals. Word by word, and we will cut food, water, electricity, everything. So the intent, usually, lawyers will find the most difficult part of the crime of genocide, of the accusation of genocide, is the intent. But Israeli leaders have made it very easy to you, Howard. They documented themselves, declaring on the first day that they are going to go into a war of extermination, a war of annihilation. And that's exactly what they have done. And nobody in this world can say or claim they did not know. Because the heroism of our people in Gaza, our people everywhere, the professionalism of our young journalists, despite the fact that Israel made absolutely sure that it blocks international media from accessing Gaza. It has done so while cutting, if you remember, all communications with Gaza, including the internet, because they wanted to commit the genocide in darkness. They didn't want you to know. But this is the first time in history a genocide is being transmitted live in your screens, in your handsets, on your mobiles. And it's the first time because our people in Gaza decided that they will not let Israel get away with murder. They documented every incident, every attack, every murder. And therefore, because this is the first time a genocide is being transmitted live, because everybody knows, this puts on us a huge burden. Because I assure you, my friends, those who think that history began a year ago need to think again. This has been a 67-year-old, a slow and a fast genocide. Started with the Nakba of 1948, when 2/3 of the Palestinian people, including my own parents and grandparents, were ethnically cleansed from their homes and farms and livelihoods. And that's why I was born in a refugee camp. I was the outcome, the son of the Nakba, if you may. But this is a situation where not only what is happening now make us the Palestinians the victims of this utter madness, this complete sense of supremacy. Does it remind you of anything? The supremacy. The supremacy, the racism, the hatred, the dehumanization, the use of sheer violence reminds us of previous experiences. But we are not the Palestinians the only victims. Now it's the region, and we are following what the Israelis are doing in Lebanon. It's the very same playbook. Very same. They have no other playbook. The playbook is go after civilians and inflict as much harm as you can. Because from the beginning, once you pressure the civilians, the idea goes, the mindset goes, they will pressure the fighters, their own fighters. That happened in 1948, and that is happening now. What does our schools has to do with this? What? Why would you target bakeries? Why are you after water desalination plants? Why do you bomb infrastructure? What's with you and obsession with universities? Why are you mining and exploding 70% of Gaza's homes? Why are you doing all that? Does this have anything to do with your claimed fight against Hamas? I was one of the first to appear in international media on the 7th, and I remember telling the CNN and the BBC that I warn, and we warn everybody, Israel will not be after a group, Israel will be after the Palestinian people, because they have got a plan. And the plan is an old new plan, a plan of displacement and replacement. And as a result, today you have 1.9 million people in Gaza displaced completely. Squeezed in the smallest area of Gaza called the Mosque, asked to leave once and twice and 3 times. Starved. Diseases spreading. Winter is approaching. Israel wants to give us only 3 options. And by the way, if you go back and read even a published paper by the current finance minister, and it's a declared policy of his and his party, but now in the coalition, he said Palestinians have 3 options. Either to accept to live under permanent occupation, colonization, theft of land, subjugation, oppression, murder at will, or they leave en masse. Second option, sleep. When you hear them saying there are so many Arab and Muslim countries will take you, and if you don't want to go there, Canada and Australia, okay. Canada and Australia is not our land. Palestine is. The third option they give us is either, or thirdly, you will be killed. We think what Israel is doing is just to push as many people to the conclusion that they should leave. But guess what? Our people have learned the hard lesson in 1948. They know that now death is easier than leaving. It's as simple as that. That's why Israel in the last few days have been warning 400,000 Palestinians in the north to leave immediately when nobody is leaving. Because you know what? They know. Because they are themselves refugees, like myself. And they know what happened to us only 76 years ago. They know once you leave, they will never allow you to come back to your homes. It's over. But also, it's not only Palestine, it's not just the region that is the victim. Every one of you, the world is a victim of this. Our international order is a victim of this. Our universal values, the future of our children is a victim of this. And I keep saying everywhere I go, if you think the normalization of mass murder of children, mass murder of innocent people, the normalization of mass destruction of civilian structures is going to hurt only of us, think again, it will hurt every one of us. And therefore what we need now to all think about is how do we move forward? Not just look backward, because if we keep looking backward, it's all about atrocities. We need to look forward. And number one, the utmost priority is a ceasefire, an immediate ceasefire. And I must commend the Welsh Senate here for being the first UK Parliament to call for an immediate ceasefire as early as the 8th of November last year. We must commend them. We must commend Plaid Cymru and the Labour Party both for co-sponsoring and voting for that resolution. So Wales came yet again as on the right side of history, but then followed other parliaments like the Scottish Parliament, of late Westminster. So we need a ceasefire, but we cannot just call for a ceasefire. Israel will not listen at the calling, at the asking. We have got to enforce a ceasefire. We have got to end this madness by the use of tools that are available for us. The first tool, arms embargo. This is a responsibility on all third parties, however, in such situation, when the ICJ has admitted Israel officially on trial for genocide and said that the crime of genocide is plausible, you know, the South Africa case, then the conversation should be over. Every third party should cease giving any political, legal, or material support for Israel. And I must say that the UK, the new government here, have taken some steps in the right direction, and we welcome it, including the refunding of honor, which should not have been needed in the first place. Funding to UNRWA should never have been cut in the first place. But we welcomed it. We also welcomed wholeheartedly them pulling out the intervention of the previous government at the ICC. Because the previous government intervened that the Palestinians do not have any right or jurisdiction to sue Israel for war crimes at the ICC. But the new government pulled it out, and we welcome it because we needed to see commitment to internationalism, to international judicial institutions. Thirdly, is their announcement recently, last month, that they suspended some arms sale to Israel. And we tell them that's welcome, but definitely not enough. And when it comes to international legality, when it comes to international commitments, you cannot have half steps, half action. You are either with law, with the international law, and with the domestic law, or you are not. You cannot zigzag. Oh, I will cut some arms. What do you mean you will cut some arms? Either you believe that Israel is drunken with power and driving itself and the entire region and the world off a cliff, and then you must stop giving it the tools to do so. And by the way, this is not just for the benefit of Palestine or international law, it's for the benefit of Israel itself. Because how can Israel exist in the region? By bombing Beirut and bombing Iraq and bombing Syria and bombing Yemen? That's how they exist? And why is Israel behaving as such? Because of the blind support by the US and many other Western countries. Because Netanyahu went to the Congress a couple of months ago and he said one main sentence. He said, give me the tools faster and I will finish the job faster. What are the tools here? Weapons. The arms. The 2,000 pounds bombs that penetrate the bones of our children and our families. Those are US provided bombs. And what is the job they want to finish faster? Genocide. And therefore, reverse his sentence. Take the tools from his hands faster and the genocide will stop that fast. We need your help to keep the pressure with us on the UK government to turn its partial arms embargo as full arms embargo. We need every help with your MPs, with your members of Senate, to keep the pressure on London that this has got to be full arms embargo. And this is not a demand, this is an obligation upon the UK as a contracting party to the international system. And this is also an obligation as per the UK domestic law, not just international law. The whole strategic review of licenses, exporting of arms. So you will not be demanding or asking something that they shouldn't be already doing themselves. And number two, you have followed the advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice only 2 months ago in July. And that advisory opinion was sought by the United Nations. Give us your legal opinion as the highest court of the globe. What is the legal status of Israel in the occupied territories? And the court came up with a clear, crystal clear ruling. At number one, Israel's continued presence in the occupied territory is unlawful. Number two, Israel's settlements, all of it, are unlawful and must be dismantled, all. And Israel must take all these settlers back. Number three, and this is what is relevant, all third parties, such as the US and the UK, etc., all third parties must cease immediately to provide Israel's illegal behavior with any material, political, or legal support. Otherwise, these parties, these third parties, are not only complicit in the genocide and in the illegality, but partnering in it. This is not me saying it, this is not the PSC saying it, this is the highest court of the land. And then the highest court, we went to the United Nations to turn that into an international resolution, whereby the international resolution, with the overwhelming support of states, member states, Israel has got to end its occupation within a period of 12 months. That was passed only 2 weeks ago. 12 months, out! How do we compel Israel to do so? That's the question. We need to employ sanctions. Sanctions. This is not to punish. This is to actually enforce international consensus and legalities. And my friend from PSC mentioned the anti-apartheid movement. Do you think Nelson Mandela would have ever been freed and South Africa would have been freed if we and you did not suck oxygen out of the life of apartheid, isolated apartheid? It wouldn't have. It was the sanctions. It was the boycotts. It was the isolation. It was the will and the power of the people of the world that deliver a strong message to de Klerk that apartheid life expectancy has ended. It's over. No difference here. If we want to end this occupation, if we want to end the colonization and the besiegement and the gross violations of the basic provisions of international law, we've got to employ sanctions. Every settlement and every settler has got to be sanctioned. Every company that profits from these settlements has got to be sanctioned. Settlers should not travel to the UK without a visa. Products of settlements should not be seen or shown on your shelves. These illegal products produced in the illegal colonies, made of stolen resources, should not be labeled, they should be banned. Do we label the ivory products? We don't label the ivory products. We ban the ivory products. And number three, accountability. We have got to enforce accountability. War criminals must be held accountable. Netanyahu must be behind bars. And this isn't just about justice to the victims, which is very important. This is about deterrence. Because we want to make sure that the next war criminals will think again. We want to make sure that this is the last time. Never again. And nothing will get us to the never again more than accountability. And nothing will be more effective for accountability than the international judicial system. Otherwise, it's the rule of the jungle. And that's why we were keen and worked with the government to pull out their intervention and allow the ICC to do its business. But we deplore some actors in the international arena who keep meddling and intervening, like the US. We deplore the US senators who sent an intimidating letter to the ICC Prosecutor General telling him and the judges of the ICC, if you prosecute Israel, you have been warned. Like the mafia. Sopranos. This is where we come to. The ICC Prosecutor General had an interview recently with the CNN, and he told Amampur in that interview, he said one of the most senior Western politicians, leaders, told him that, he thought the ICC was created for Russia and Africa. Seriously. Why? There are no war criminals that are white. There are many. War criminals must be held accountable regardless of their color, or race, or religion, or height, or width. That's the meaning of law. So we need to work together to make sure that we keep on that path of accountability. And finally, the UK, and we need your help, it's too late already. And it's long overdue to recognize the state of Palestine. This isn't a gift from them. This isn't a favor. It's a right. It's an inalienable right. What are they waiting for? And I keep saying to many of my friends in London, it isn't. The question isn't why should you recognize. That's the wrong question. The question is why didn't you recognize for all these years? Especially in light of the historic, moral, political, legal responsibility of Britain on the issue of Palestine. We Palestinians believe that it all started here in London. The Balfour Declaration, that colonial arrogance, promising our land without consulting us. So take responsibility, show leadership and statesmanship, and deliver what you have got to deliver, which is at least the uncancellation of the people you cancelled 107 years ago. Recognize the right, their birthright, our birthright to self-determination. And every day you wait is another day you play in the hands of Netanyahu and the undermining of everything. Give the people of Palestine hope and certainty, and give those settlers and those colonizers and those haters a message of disincentive, that we are serious and the world is serious. We are discussing that there is some pressure, but we need your help, because every day we wait is a wasted day for the abyss we are in right now. And I just want to tell you that it is a very difficult period now. And nothing hurts a nation more than going through extermination. Nothing traumatizes a nation than being collectively targeted. And it is a traumatic period, and this will live us for generations to come. But I just want to tell you that Israel is so wrong, and its backers, if they think they can bomb our spirit and they can bomb our determination for our rights. They can't. They've tried it for 76 years. They've tried it with my parents, and they tried it with my grandparents, and here I am, and my children will continue. You cannot bomb a nation out of existence, especially if the nation you are targeting is an exceptional nation, rooted, ancient, educated, connected. I mean, when I see youngsters in Gaza, 16 years old, and they have like 5 million followers on Instagram and 10 million on X, our people are connected. And when I know that despite all the agony, we still can produce one of the most educated people on earth. No, Israel cannot get away with it. It's not as easy. It would have if it could, long ago. So, despite all the wounds, I just want to tell you from my heart, we cannot be defeated. But all what we need to do is to shorten the period of suffering. Because I assure you, we see the finish line. We see the finish line. We know we are not in a sprint, we are in a marathon. And we know it's almost the last mile. It's the last mile. And usually the last mile it's the hardest. And it's hard. It's hard. Like it is the darkest just before dawn. Nobody expected Mandela to be freed. Nobody expected the Berlin Wall to fall. Nobody expected to codify the agreement. These things come because of the determination of the people. Because of the solidarity with these people. Because of you and your parents. And all those who believe in justice in this world. And I really have hope. I very much have hope. Hope because of our people. hope because of the people of the world, and in London it has been such a show of solidarity that is unprecedented. And I must salute the PSC for all that they have been doing, and all the organizations that work with the PSC, for making sure that London becomes the epicenter of global solidarity. 1 million Britons in the street of London in one go, that was historic in every sense. I'm also hopeful because of the clarity of the international legality and some of these institutions trying to claim back their mandate, like the ICC and the ICC. So, you know, what I can tell you is please just continue. I know you've been in the streets, I know you've been writing to your MPs, I know you've been active with the media, I know you've been doing many things. I know our community here has been hurt so much, but they are trying to connect. I have some doctors here who are trying to keep the online teaching for our doctors who are trying to operate from a distance. I know every one of us, every one of you is doing what they can. But let's stay on. My message is don't do anything more. You're doing it. But don't give up. Because we promise you, we will not give up. We are almost there. Thank you.